Originario de Mysuru, la segunda ciudad más grande del estado de Karnataka en la India. Sandhguru Yagi Vasudev responde a vocare, ese vocablo latino que significa llamado a, para ser un guía espiritual, que como la espiritualidad misma, no conoce fronteras. Pues uno de sus ejes rectores es la divulgación del conocimiento, así como la creación de la Fundación Isha, encargada de brindar programas de yoga alrededor del mundo.
Amigas y amigos, muy buenas noches. Hoy estamos con ustedes nuevamente en este su programa Era de las Definiciones. Como siempre, trayendo personajes de talla mundial, global, que tienen algo que comentar con nosotros y que va a ser ilustrativo y va a ser fantástico este programa. Por favor, pongan mucha atención. Hoy tenemos aquí con nosotros al señor Sandhguru, que es un hombre fantástico, increíble, haciendo una revolución a nivel mundial a partir de ese profundo pensamiento que viene de la India, el hacer conciencia, consciousness, which is the word. And that's why we have here Sandhguru. Así que, pleasure having you here in this program.
Wonderful talking to you.
And I'm sure it will be a great welcome, all this conversation that you already, we had in short right before. So please tell me about when you started all these activities, why you decided to go with them, and what were the first steps to have this fantastic place you have here. And I understand fantastic places around the world, and specifically in India, a lot of activities there that are transforming agriculture, are transforming the way you take care of the soil, but everything, and this is your turn, everything starts within.
If human beings are transformed, they will transform everything else. If human beings are not transformed, we try to transform and fix the situations around, they can only go worse. As our capabilities increase, things only get worse. This is right now the tragedy in the world. Our intelligence, our capabilities, our science, our technology, unfortunately is turning against us because human beings don't know how to hold their own intelligence, their own capabilities, essentially because once you have this level of capability and competence and ability to do things in the world, our actions should be conscious. Right now we are in instinctive, compulsive reaction to many things around us. Though we have evolved into human beings, we are still behaving like other creatures, compulsive, instinctive ways of doing things, whether as groups of people, as race, as religion, as nations, we are still in instinctive reactive modes, not a conscious way of building the world around us, because the time has come that our capabilities have reached a point that if these capabilities turn against human well-being, there is no way human beings can be well. We have that much capability. There was a time when we were cave people, if you got angry, you would pick up a stick and beat your neighbor. It is no more like that. If somebody gets angry, he could destroy the world. So I'm not only talking about wars and bombs and stuff. In the very search for human well-being, we are destroying the planet. So where does this start? Where should everybody start? Let me put it this way. This year is going to be 40 years since I started doing this work. So it feels like day before yesterday, but it's 40 years. So the thing is like this. I've grown up in a very agnostic kind of atmosphere where I'm not related to anything religious or spiritual or anything. I'm living my life wild and successful for those days. I have a few businesses going, everything working very well. When everything that you do is working well, you slowly start thinking the planets are not going around the sun, they're actually going around you. So I'm in that place, confident, cocky and fine, no problems with life. So one afternoon, I just sit in one place, a small hill, and for the first time in my life, I don't know which is me, which is not me. Till that moment, I knew this is me, this is somebody else. I have no issue with that somebody, but this is me, that is you. Suddenly, I did not know which is me, which is not me, because what was me seemed to be like everywhere else. Everywhere, everything became me. I know this sounds absolutely crazy. This madness, I thought, lasted for 10-15 minutes. But when I came back to my normal senses, about 4.5 hours had passed. For the first time in my adult life, tears, me and tears were impossible. But tears to a point, my shirt is all wet. And every cell in my body is dripping ecstasy. Then I shake my head and think, what's happening to me? My skeptical mind can only tell me, maybe I'm going off my rocker, maybe I'm losing my mind. I ask my closest friends, something is happening to me, if I just sit here, I'm just blissed out completely. They say, hey, come on, what did you drink? What did you pop? What did you do? Did you find mushrooms in the hills? What happened? Like this. So there was no context to what was happening within me, so I started experimenting with myself. What is it that causes this extraordinary sense of exuberance and ecstasy within myself? Then in a few weeks I realized, if I keep myself little away from my psychological process of thought and emotion, which I had plenty of thought going, little distance, suddenly every cell in my body, the very chemistry changes. Today, this change of chemistry is being manifested in institutions like the Harvard Medical School, where we have a research institute which is establishing this, that just if you do a simple practice, the basic chemistry of the body is changing into blissfulness. Now this is well documented scientifically. But for me, documentation is not the thing. For me, what happens, what works within me is the only thing. So when I saw this, I sat down, I was only 25, and I sat down and made a plan. On that day, the world's population was 5.6 billion people. I sat down and made a plan. In 2.5 years' time, I will make everybody blissful, because who wouldn't want it? Who wouldn't want to sit here absolutely blissful without doing anything about it? Free. I thought even the Mexicans would want it. But 40 years incessantly, 7 days of the week, 365 days I've been working. People say today we've touched over 2 to 3 billion people, but that's not my idea of humanity. There are 8.4 billion people now. So I'm just telling you my troubles, that I will die as a failure. I'm only trying to increase my percentages now. So essentially the entire work is just this: give simple tools and technologies for subjective technologies within you, where if you sit here, you know how to be blissful. If you know how to be blissful, is that the goal of life? No. Only if you're blissful. Let's describe it this way. People call it happiness, joy, bliss, ecstasy, whatever. Essentially, it is a certain level of pleasantness within you. You're feeling very pleasant. There is substantial scientific and medical evidence to show only when you're feeling pleasant both in your body, mind, chemistry and energy, does your body, your intelligence, your genius works at its best. If you want to do anything in your life, whether you want to do spiritual process, business, politics, whatever you want to do, your body and brain must work at its best, otherwise you will do much less than what you could do. It's as simple as that. So bliss or joy is not the goal of life, it is a fundamental ambience that we need within ourselves. And this is very simple. When I say very simple, today it may look very complicated. because people are not even able to sleep peacefully, forget about living blissfully. Why this is happening is, first thing is people have not understood that human experience is caused from within. Somebody else and something else may stimulate things, but how you respond is yours. But right now when you're in a compulsive state of reaction, it looks like they are doing it to me. Let's say somebody hurls an abuse at me, which they're always doing, you know Lot of people are hurling abuses at me. Well, how I respond to it is my choice. Otherwise, abuse remains in their mouth, not in my heart. It never remains because I respond to it as I should. So, this ability to be the way we want has been given up because we are still behaving like other creatures of lesser evolution where they are in an instinctive, compulsive reaction. Once you become human, the most important thing is you can do everything that an animal can do. We are not doing anything different. We are doing the same things. They are born, we are born. They grow up, we grow up. They eat, we eat. They reproduce, we reproduce. They die, we die. Same things. Only thing is, we can do all this consciously, which makes a world of difference as to what a human being is. To put it simply, it's like this. If your body becomes pleasant, we call this health. Do you want it? Does everybody want it? Absolutely. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it pleasure. If your mind becomes pleasant, we call this peace. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it joy. If our emotions become pleasant, we call this love. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it compassion. If our very life energies become pleasant, we call this bliss. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. If our surroundings become pleasant, we call this success. Only to create our surroundings in a pleasant manner, we need the cooperation of people and forces around us. To create pleasantness of the body, pleasantness of the mind, pleasantness of emotions and energies, it's 100% our business. So this is my fundamental work, not only to tell people it's 100% their business how they keep themselves, giving them the necessary tools. What does a tool mean? See, right now this furniture, if I ask you to unscrew this screw which is there in this furniture with your hands, all the 10 nails may go but it will not come. If you use your teeth, teeth will go but it will not come. But if I give you a screwdriver, in a minute you will get it out. This is the power of a tool. Human beings today are dominating the world only because of our ability to use tools. And the greatest tools that we have is our own body and our mind. These two tools, when they turn against us, people may say they have different sources of misery in their lives. They can call it by 1,000 different names. They can call it misery, they can call it stress, tension, depression, this, that, whatever. Essentially, the simple fact is, your intelligence has turned against you. Once your intelligence turns against you, nobody can save you So, I devised a process called inner engineering, where you learn to engineer yourself the way you want. If you're engineered the way you want, creating the world that you want, to some extent, depends on the time and place where you are. We will never have the world 100% the way we want it. We won't even have 1% 100% the way we want them. But this 1% must happen 100% my way. You will not happen my way, but I must happen my way, isn't it? So if this is happening 100% my way, let's say you are happening 100% your way, will you keep yourself blissful or miserable? Ask anybody, everybody will say blissful. I thought so 40 years ago, and I thought everybody will become blissful if I offer them tools, but 40 years.
Fantastico. 10 minutes have gone by.
Break.
So we need a
Broccoli,
break.
eat broccoli.
With a tequila. Okay, we go to a break.
La espiritualidad de Sandhguru ha demostrado no estar peleada con la cultura pop u ofrecer una imagen irremediablemente solemne. Sandhguru enseña y se sumerge en el mundo que habita. No lo condena y tampoco pelea con él. Coexiste bajo su propia espiritualidad. Para muestra, su intención de convertir en vegetariano al famoso británico, el chef Gordon Ramsay. O la apertura al intercambio de ideas sobre la yoga con el multipremiado actor Matthew McConaughey. Y hasta recibir la canción Hawaii, cantada a capela por Maluma.
Okay, we're back. Sad. Great 10 minutes that you have given us inspiration, you have given us information. This is your life, and this
I've
is
told you my problems, which
no, your blissfulness. And so that's what I wanted to ask. How have you expressed worldwide all this thinking, all these thoughts, and through an institution, which is this where we are? So please tell me about that. How do you have helped people massify this thinking and gift it to human beings that you touch or you speak to?
See, that's not happened in one day, it's taken a certain amount of time. And for first 22 years, as a rule, I never gave a single press interview, never put up a single advertisement, did not even print a brochure or anything, only by word of mouth. Because the power of people's experience was such that the moment they experienced it, they wanted their friends and relatives and family to go through that. It's only through that, even today, that is still the strongest force which drives us. Today, of course, social media and online reach has multiplied, which has definitely played a significant role. But still, it's the word of mouth. People who have experience, they make sure their friends, family go through this. This is how it's grown. But at this juncture, I would like to say this. What kind of times are we in? See, many great beings have come on this planet, many. But when they spoke, hardly 10 people could hear. And within 10 days, they distorted everything that they said to become something else altogether. This is the first time in the history of humanity that we can sit here and talk to the world. See, we are here in Tennessee, but we can talk to people in Mexico and South America, all right? This was never possible. Once we have tools like this, that we can reach the world, if we do not transform the human being now, in this generation, it just shows that we don't care enough. We don't have enough love in our hearts, that's all it is for me. It is not work for me, it is just expression. If I'm saying it's like this because everywhere this water stress, you've been talking about the water stress in where you are also. See, if it so happens we dig a well here and we found really nice sweet water. Slowly, let's say a drought came and nobody has water to drink, people are falling dead. I sit here quietly. If they want, let them come and drink. This is a crime. You must get to the top of your roof and scream, there is water here. That's all I'm doing, screaming.
So this institution is your tool to impact, to influence the world, to bring in new thinking in both sides of what I understand is your activities. One is wellness, one is your person, one is your health, one is yoga and all these tools, and the other one is soil, the land. People that are using soil or the land to produce food.
See, soil and land is not my work, but I'm doing a lot of that in the last 30 years because it's becomes… If people don't have soil, can you make them meditate? Is it a possibility? Well, I was in the economic forum, in the World Economic Forum, some professor from some university in America comes and says, "Oh, you are that amazing tree planter?" I said, "No, I'm not a tree planter." Then he says, "No, you planted so many trees, you're a tree planter, aren't you?" I said, "No, my work is to make people flower, not tree planting. I'm planting trees because this is like this. On a certain day, two men are working on the roadside. One guy is digging holes, the other guy is coming behind him, closing these holes. Lot of such work is happening all over the world, you know. So another passerby looks at this and says, "Hey, you guys, what are you doing? He's digging the hole, you're closing the hole, what is the purpose of this?" No, he is a digger, I'm somebody who closes. In between, there was a tree planter, he's on leave. So we're just doing our work. So because the tree planter has been on leave for so long, I'm just volunteering a little bit. And we've managed to plant over maybe 120, 130 million trees now.
Your activities are where geographically speaking. Basically, here in United States, India, you also spoke about traveling Africa, traveling the East, and everywhere. And what about Latin America?
My work, I wouldn't say is geographically located. Yes, in terms of physical activity, a lot in India, a certain reasonable amount in United States, Europe, UK, and of course Asia and Middle East also. But I wouldn't like to say the work is geographically centered somewhere because my real estate is in the hearts and minds of people. This real estate is a facility that is necessary to deliver certain things. You need a platform, otherwise how to do work. For many years, I kind of been resistant to develop any actual real estate for this purpose. But now we're doing real estate in many places, many centers coming up, because I see physical infrastructure being missing is one big handicap for consciousness to rise. For example, they say in 1893, 93% of United States population was illiterate. Today, nearly 100% is literate. How does this happen? Somebody built schoolrooms and produced teachers. So that's all I'm trying to do. For consciousness, you don't really need real estate. At the same time, if there's no facility, those things won't happen. People won't even know that it can happen like this. So, our largest real estate is online these days. This is to provide for advanced programs and other things because everywhere, wherever we build anything, we are always bursting at the seams. Not enough. We are not building fast enough, that's all I'm saying.
10 minutes gone by.
Break, have tequila.
Second tequila and second broccoli.
Las enseñanzas y filosofía de Sandhguru abarcan una amplia gama de temas y ofrecen perspectivas prácticas y profundas sobre la vida, la espiritualidad y la búsqueda de la autorrealización. La meditación es un entrenamiento de la mente que busca una mayor libertad mental y emocional. Mientras la vida interior sea esclava de las situaciones externas, permanecerá en una situación precaria. No puede ser de otra manera. Sandhguru Yagi.
This building that I see here, this dome that you have here, how do you use it? What happens there inside?
Well, people are saying that this is the largest meditation hall in the Western Hemisphere. We have a much larger one in India, but this is a columnless hall, as you have seen. I don't know if you've seen, probably we must show you on the television how this is made. Well, what happens here is generally advanced programs. People would do any engineering, they will do it online or they will do it physically with our trained teachers who are trained for a very long period before they deliver these programs, and they come here for advanced programs. So, every month 4 or 5 programs are happening, so most of the time it's on now because of tomorrow. Tomorrow is the satsang? I'm sorry, tomorrow? So tomorrow is a big event, so nothing happening here. Anyway, that's not necessary for this. So what happens here is to bring people to a very profound sense of experience. Because what the intent is not to give people any teaching. No new philosophies, no ideologies, no new religion, no new belief systems. The important thing is to bring people to a profound sense of experience within themselves. This is something we must understand. Whether you want to experience pain or pleasure, it can only happen within you. Whether you want to experience misery or joy, it can only happen within you. Agony or ecstasy can only happen within you. All human experience can only happen through this one. There is no other place for you to experience anything. Nobody can experience what's here. You can only experience what happens here. Even what is light and darkness is actually what is happening within us. If you sit with an owl, there are a lot of barn owls here, if you sit with an owl and start an argument as to which is light and which is darkness, where will this argument go? Endless argument. Who is right? Obviously humans think they're right. No. The moment you think you're right, you're missing the whole point. It's not about being right, it is about finding access to life, because this life is such a brief life. If you're living a joyful life, very joyful, it's very brief. If 100 years will pass off like 2 years. If you are a miserable human being, then one day will pass like 100 years. So only miserable human beings can have a long life. So this is very important that people understand time is a very relative experience. If you are living a life which is joyful and exuberant, 100 years is nothing, it's over like that. For what potential that human being carries, 100 years is nothing. But this few years that people are living here, they have so many problems and they find it's too long and all kinds of things happening. This is because we have not even learnt how to handle our own body, our own intelligence, our own emotions, our own chemistry. And we want to dominate the world, that's all. We are interested in suppressing other people and other creatures. No, we must learn how to handle this. If you know how to handle… if your intelligence was working for you, would you keep yourself miserable or blissful? Answer is obvious, isn't it? Blissfulness is the only thing you would choose. So essentially, if you're miserable, if you're stressed, if you're anxious, if you're depressed, you must understand that you have turned your intelligence against yourself. There may be many reasons. There may be genetic reasons, there may be atmospheric reasons, there may be situational reasons. It doesn't matter. Fundamentally, your intelligence is turned against you. Once intelligence is turned against you, misery is the only way life will be. So inner engineering is about ensuring my body, my chemistry, my emotion, my intelligence works for me. Once I know well-being, what it means to be really well, when I know this by experience, naturally I want this all around me. Not because of morality, simply because you experience everything as yourself if you're truly well. See, as we sit here, what you exhale, the tree is inhaling. What the tree exhales, you're inhaling. When you realize one half of your lungs is hanging out there, do I have to tell you, protect this tree? Is it necessary? You are not going to go and hack your own lungs, but we have no experience like that. Our education system has become purely intellectual, without any connection to life, without any involvement with life, without being life. We're just a bundle of thoughts, emotions, ideas, opinions and prejudices. This has to change. This is what the work is about.
So that's this place. And then
I think
people, human beings, go out and think about it and reflect and and go within, or how do you provoke that they do this exercise?
This is not going home, thinking about it, reflecting, nothing like that. This is like tequila. One shot you have, you're feeling little like that. This is just like that, because this is not infusing something from outside. This is changing your chemistry in such a way you're blissful, not because of any external input. This is the greatest chemical factory on the planet. Do you agree with me, sir? Most sophisticated chemical factory is right here. The question is only, are you a great manager of this factory or are you a lousy manager? We want to turn everybody into great managers, that their chemistry is the way they want. They want to be blissful, their chemistry should be blissful. Right now, everybody wants to be happy. How hard they're making it to be happy?
See? And now…
Yeah, I advertise your product, okay?
Back there, another big building. What do you do there?
This is an inspirational process and also an energetic process. There is a consecrated space there which solidified mercury. Mercury is solidified at room temperature, which according to modern science is not possible. Unless you take mercury to minus 32 degrees centigrade, you cannot solidify according to modern chemistry. But you will see mercury solidified at room temperature. I hear there are places like this in Mexico which I want to visit and see.
Teotihuacan.
Because these are definitely from yogic culture. We don't know who came, when, but somebody has established this. This is very important to revive this, that there is an energetic place which supports your intent of life, something that makes your life exuberant. So there is an image of Adi Yogi, that is the first yogi. First yogi means, this is the first time in history of humanity at that time, over 15,000 years ago, he said, if you are willing, you can strive to evolve into whatever you want. Charles Darwin came 150 years ago or 200 years ago. He propounded his theory about 154 years ago. But 15,000 years ago, Adi Yogi said, the first life was in water, next life was amphibious, next life grows like he said it's a wild boar, and the next life was half man, half animal. Next life was a dwarf man. Next one is a full-fledged man but volatile man. Next one is a peaceful man. Next is a loving man. Next is a meditative and mystical man. No, we are talking about not one man coming in that form. That may be personified in our culture, but essentially he is talking about how life has evolved on this planet. So evolutionary theory in its a kind of parallel, he spoke 15,000 years ago. And the important thing is, when his disciples asked him, how can we evolve? He said, physiologically you cannot evolve. There are sciences and mathematics attached to the planetary systems and the revolutions of moon around the earth and all this. He said, we cannot physiologically evolve, but in consciousness we can evolve instantaneously if you become willing. For this he gave 112 methods or technologies as to how different people can approach it in different ways. So there are 112 ways. So as a part of this, we have established 112 feet tall face of Adi Yogi in India, where it's become a big attraction for people and an inspiration to remind them that if you want to fix your life, you need to turn inward and fix it, not up, not down, not somewhere. People are either looking up or looking at the marketplace to fix their life. No, you need to turn inward, otherwise you will be just wasting life, and life is a very brief happening.
Teotihuacan, Mercurio, that's in Mexico. What are your plans for Latin America in the next months, years? What would you like to do there?
My interest is people. Whatever language they speak, whether they speak Latin or whatever they speak. What's my problem, what they speak? My interest is this, I'm a very selfish man. I want to live in a blissful world. So I don't want to see miserable faces around me. I want to live in a blissful world. I think everybody should become selfish like this.
So are we going to try to make a blissful region, Latin America?
Yes, sir, if all of you…
Together, Centro folks and your
If you all
great
stand with us,
institution.
definitely we will do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Great thoughts. Gracias.